says we're live.
All right.
Let me try to check her all the microphones on.
Yeah, I think it is.
Better keep yours off.
Yeah, because sometimes I get carried away.
You ready? Okay, let's go ahead and call the January 5th, 2026 Tipton Utility Service Board meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is to appoint a board chairman. I'll accept nominations from the.
I nominate Don McElfresh.
Second.
Okay, I have a nomination for Don McElfresh to be the chairman of the board. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. I'll try not to embarrass you. So the next, we need a secretary. We need to basically appoint Jim Ankrum as the secretary of the board. So does anybody want to make a nomination for that, and we'll get a vote on that?
I nominate Jim Ankrum for secretary.
And I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to nominate.
I've got a question now. How's his shorthand?
Jim's
See the notes.
not real good. I can,
He can read it.
He can read it.
barring any other questions, all those in favor, Jim being the secretary, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you very much. Now we'll move on to the minutes from the last meeting.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes as submitted.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the last meeting. Barring any questions or concerns, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Now we'll move on to claims.
I make a motion, we pay claims 27,343 through 27,408 for $975,008.03.
Second.
Okay. Have a motion and a second pay claims as submitted. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. I think that takes us up to you,
Yep.
sir.
You might note in the claims, the biannual bond payments are included in that December.
Didn't notice.
$250,000, $300,000 worth of. So some cash balances will get hit a little bit on the December financials, but November, right in line. I think I noted in the email that we're basically right where we were a year ago, and that's after having spent over $1 million on electrical trucks, a few projects here with the city where we had some utility upgrades, and then a few more things out at the West Water plant. So I'll point in the right direction, and we'll just keep carrying on. Okay, two other odds and ends. We did have safety training back in mid-December, and we re-upped with IMPA to provide our safety training monthly again this year in 2026. And that is provided by a third party, not just IMPA, but Tennessee Valley PPA, TVPPA, and they have a local representative that comes and actually does the training. He's really good, and I know the electrical guys, they go over a lot of the same things each year, probably half of them, but the other half are for all utility and city workers, and we usually get a good turnout, get some at least refreshers for everybody to think safely.
What's the update on the employee that was injured? Was having surgery, I think. Right?
So he had surgery, it was rotator cuff, they fixed him, but it got infected. So then he went on antibiotics, and they got the infection under control and cleaned out. And he goes, I think, for an update this week. And when they went in there and cleaned the infection out, they had to take out all the parts and pieces, and so basically have to redo the surgery. And he's making progress towards that step. So he's still off work, but I've met with him a couple times, and good attitude.
Good.
Orneriness.
So
Can't
that was
mention
skill
his
right
name.
there.
Yeah, he's doing fine.
Good.
I do have our first IMPA board meeting coming up the end of January, And they're usually on the fourth Friday of each month. If you so desire to join me, just let me know. We'll get you down there. Always good to catch up with our friends at IMPA. And then a few project updates. Doctors Park, I think you hear more about that over from our friends across the road at the county. They've, I believe, selected a contractor to do the $250,000 to $300,000 worth of work to get them a little pump station and pump it to our system down towards the hospital back behind the nursing home. So that'll all happen in the next 2 or 3 months. And we'll be more than innocent bystanders. We'll inspect the work as they connect to our system. But I think everything's lined out, and it's on their end. I believe they've satisfied all the permitting and IDEM approvals that are required. So,
Well, didn't you say that the 4-H was gonna do some upgrading too? Will that include that?
it'll be somewhat tied into that, Rick. The 4-H would like to add more permanent campgrounds
Mhm.
with water service, and they're already on our water and sewer at the 4-H, so the expansion will be inside their property line, but the new flows, additional flows, how they get it to us has not been determined yet. They could just as easily dump in the manhole where everything's going in now, or they may connect to this small force main that's going in Doctor's Park.
Okay.
And last I knew, the 4-H board had signed up an engineering firm because the scope of that project is big enough where they have to get state approvals and some other things. And they had monies allocated by the county and county council to get that done. And that's where it stands. Speaking of spending some money, I've kind of pushed this one out into 2026, but it's time to do another lift station. You know, we have like 8 lift stations throughout the city, and through the last 5 years, I think we've replaced pumps in 2 or 3 of them, and we got another one that's on the horizon. And I'm just starting to gather information and quotes, but I expect we're probably talking about $40,000 to replace pumps that are 15 or 20 years old, and just part of the deal. So I'll keep you posted on that. Then I sent an email with the drawing that looks like this. I thought I'd print it out for you. It's a little easier to. So most of you know, some of you might not. We used to have a car wash here in Tipton, right next to the Edward Jones office. And that thing went out of service, Donnie, probably 6 or 7 years ago. And then just kind of stood there in a little bit of an eyesore, and it eventually got demolished and taken out of service. And the previous mayor and this mayor, you know, they've entertained people that have talked about putting a car wash in. Well, interestingly enough, the guy that actually purchased the property is in the car wash business. But he's owned the property for 4 or 5 years. And he's like, I've been busy in other cities in Indiana and across the Midwest. He goes, but now I've got my eyes on Tipton. We've been just sitting tight, not wanting to invest a bunch of money for maybe something that would happen, but now it's getting serious. And the unfortunate news is the diagonal line that runs right through that car wash property, that's a 16-inch line. It's old clay tile. So probably back in the early 1900s, 1920s, that was likely a sanitary sewer that went right to the creek, because that line goes straight towards Big Cicero Creek. And that line's been maintained, and the only things on that line used to be the old car wash, the speedway, and then a little bit to the south and east, you can see it runs directly underneath people's homes. And those people, obviously, they dump into it, and there's 2 or 3 other. It's lightly used, but my initial thoughts were, well, let's go in and clean that line, and there's technology where you can reline the pipe and get some structural integrity. We tried to get a camera in that thing, and it was like backed up, and
Wow.
it's flowing, but
Not well.
not well. And I'm just worried if we go in there and really try to clean that thing up, that line underneath those homes is going to be compromised, and we're going to create even bigger problem. So I've held off on that, but I do not want to add the car wash flows back to that line. So I'm spending a few $1,000s this week to get some survey information. You see all those green dots, those are manholes. We need to get some definite elevations of all those manholes and just see if there's a chance we could gravity from the new car wash to one of those manholes. Might be under Jefferson Street, might be behind the shack. Well, I'll know more, but that short-term, midterm solution to me would be to take the car wash flows and not put them on that dilapidated 16-inch line. And then, but someday, probably down Deal Street, we're gonna have to address that overall 16-inch line. And that could be a lot of money. I think whatever solution we come up to for the car wash is probably $50,000 to $100,000, just guessing at this point. But until we get some more solid information and sit down, Matt Smith's helping me also. I mean, we're excited to help facilitate getting a car wash in Tipton, I can tell you that. And it is our responsibility outside the property line. If our system needs upgrades or is in disrepair, I believe that's our responsibility to handle our system issues. And so I said a lot. Just see if you guys have any questions or comments.
I think 4 or 5 years ago, we looked at getting an Oak Creek grant kind of for this area as well, and we were not successful. So just for some of the board members that weren't,
Yep.
and even Jim,
Usually, and I think what Rex had told me, maybe Don or Mark, usually our income levels are too high to qualify for Oak Creek grants.
That's been the problem in the past for
Yep.
the areas that we've been trying to apply for.
which way does that tile flow, Jim? Does it flow like
Towards
down?
the creek to the south and east.
Okay.
Yep.
It'll be interesting, the numbers that are put together that
Yeah.
in terms of cost,
Yeah.
connecting these.
So Jim, does any of what you're doing gonna help the drainage problems we had there at the Pizza Shack and the Quick Cup?
No, this is strictly sanitary, and I think the solution to what you're talking about, Mark, would be when they redo the Jefferson Street project. They'll have to do some good for the drainage in that area, because they plan on putting in more new storm sewers and things of that nature through there.
So where can we route sanitary then if,
Right now, we could either go straight north underneath Jefferson Street to probably that manhole in the middle in the alley. If the elevations, we want to do everything gravity. You see what I'm talking about, Pete?
yeah, I think so.
That's one option. Another option would be go from the car wash property to the west over towards the hotel / Pizza Shack, where looks like there's like 3 or 4 manholes in there.
Across the railroad?
We'd have to go underneath the old railroad bed, which I'm told by a contractor that's done a lot of work in Hamilton County along that railroad. He said he knows these people. It won't be an issue. It's not like dealing with Norfolk Southern. So I think it really it's going to come down to, I probably prefer not to go under Jefferson just because it's a busy road in the future and if you have issues, but if that's the way it makes most sense, that's what we'll do.
I mean, your alternative, if you try and line it and it fails, you've got to bore it probably, right? Something close to it.
I think we may have, or we may have to abandon the line and then run a sewer. I was told that Rex and Tim Davis looked at a sewer along Deal Street, which is to the far right, where that green line is on the right side of the drawing.
Mhm.
They had come up, and that's where they applied for the Okra grant,
Right.
and that was, I don't know if it was $500,000 or $1 million. They wanted to do it at the same time Atlas was doing the big line along the creek, and it was cost prohibitive.
What is the Edward Jones office on that?
It's just to the right of the orange.
Yeah, but I mean,
College.
where does their sanitary go?
I
Onto
believe
that
they
deal?
go directly south into that 16-inch as well. Yeah, so you got Speedway, Edward Jones, the 3 houses to the south, and then multiple homes down there at the southeast,
but not the shack.
Or go the other way.
Yeah.
Or go the other way.
So me and Scott Reeser and Tim Davis had been putting our heads together for about a month, and it just seemed like it turned into a calculus problem, and without proper information, we were just spinning our wheels.
Well, I guess my question, I don't know that we'd need to replace it with a 16-inch, would we, if it?
No,
So,
I imagine you could get by with an 8-inch.
mhm.
That could be an option, just run a whole new 8-inch.
Mhm.
Take that under advisement. That's a good point.
It's a big block of area without,
Well, my
Anything but
concern
that.
is it could fail, anytime, really.
Yep. I do recall when I first took the job about 5 years ago, Tim, we were talking about the car wash, and Tim says, whatever you do, don't let them put it back in that same place. He goes, you don't know the problems we have there, but you're gonna know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But that's pretty exciting for the community, and
Yeah.
I know boring's gotten a lot cheaper than it was 10 years ago or
Oh,
even
yeah.
5 years ago.
I
So
mean, we have good data just from our project.
For sure.
It was 12, that was all 12-inch bores. So might be, the only caveat is directional bores are really good for force mains because it doesn't matter. But when you want a gravity, it needs to flow downhill. Now they'll tell you, oh yeah, we can hit it dead on right where you want it.
Yeah.
Sometimes they can. And so, and that's a pretty long run to be, may want to put a manhole somewhere in the middle, but that's relatively inexpensive. So,
yeah.
all right, I'll keep you posted. I maybe know something ahead of the next board meeting, 2 weeks, because they were out there today getting some surveys shots. We went ahead and hired Seth Johnson to get that done directly. The other good piece of news I wanted to share is was it last week, Don, or maybe late the week before, the mayor contacted Don and I and indicated that he was getting ready to put in writing a confirmation to the county that the city and the utility is on board with extending utilities out to 400 West. The county had been approaching the city and the utility. We kept talking about this interlocal agreement. We had this task force. We met multiple times. Just didn't seem like we got real far. But the mayor is now willing and has put in writing that we're on board with, if they want to do that. And they have always stipulated that the county would pay for those utility projects. So we'll see. I mean, I know the county is still asking, can we do something? So I think they still have a developer interested, and this is residential. So this may be the thing that broke the ice and thawed things out to where we can get moving. So do you know any more?
That's it. Be interesting to see where it goes from here. Step in the right direction, it seems like.
And the last thing I have is I will point out that our next utility board meeting is actually on Tuesday, 20th, as we take the day off for Martin Luther King Day on the 19th. So 2 weeks and 1 day.
Very good. That's it, sir. Any other questions, comments, conversation from the board? Councilman Rippey?
Nope.
Okay, Happy New Year.
Move we adjourn.
Second. Okay, I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.